Hey, I'm Dr. Terrence Espinosa. In this video, we'll walk you through some basic things to do with BibleWebApp.com. Now, this was originally by John Dyer, and it's had others come in to help. It's an excellent resource that has grown over time. If you go to BibleWebApp.com, it will take you to this page, which has John 1:1 in English, in Greek, and then some lexical information here on the side. So let's start by just looking at the About page. Right, so this tells you who he is. You can click on his name and Michael Johnson. Click on who they are. They looks like they have some audio here. They have some really excellent resources, and so you can contact them if you click those links. So that's the About page. This is a person who's he has a doctorate now. And so he's a scholar. He's a technically proficient person, and those were and maybe still are pretty rare in the world to have people with expertise in both technology and also biblical studies or more humanities-based education. And so here's what you can do. I want to show you three things. I want to show you how to use interlinear, and then I want to show you how to look at the Greek text on its own, and then the Hebrew Old Testament text on its own. So the page opens up on I'm using a Windows machine like this with three screens, which is really nice. Let's look at the translation. It starts with NASB. You can change it to other English translations or other languages you understand if you want to. If you look through and scroll, you'll see that some translations have a little code here, so alpha and omega, and that means that those have clickable links. You can look, for example, at ESV, but you can't really click on words and have definitions pop up. They'll show you, say, in the English, the Greek column to the next where you're looking, and it goes both ways, but you can't click on things. And this just has to do with copyright and licensing. And so for this site, ESV is not as usable here. NASB and NetBible, both excellent translations. Let's go NASB. These do have clickable links. So you can click on a word, say, in English, and then on the right side, you'll see the Greek, and it'll highlight that Greek word. So let's look at the word word. Be a little meta here. Logos is what it is in the Greek, and you see that. You click on it, and even though I clicked on the English word, it tells me the Greek word underneath it, and you can find all the occurrences if you want to. Let's do that, and then you look at that, and there's a nice graphic here telling you how frequently it's used per book of the New Testament. Excellent. And then it gives you, oh, look at that. So you see word here is reason, it's statements, and then here it's words. And so it's really nice to look on the Greek text to find how it's been translated in different passages in Scripture. So let's close that, but I just wanted to do that. You can also, if you click on either the English or the Greek, same information pops up. And it gives you a basic definition, a range of definitions. No examples here. This is pretty stripped down. And unfortunately, it doesn't tell us where this comes from. So that's not, it's useful, but you just caveat emptor, beware of sources that aren't cited. So it's not that it's bad, but if you're doing serious study, you can cite this web page if you're using these definitions, but you want to use a more traditional, reputable lexicon that tells you who stands behind it. That brings more data. So again, it's excellent for quick work. It's excellent for you just kind of looking through. But translation is complicated anyway. Right? Words don't map easily from a target language to the original language. There's a lot of nuance that's lost. There are things you don't even know you don't know when you're translating unless you have experience and are able to engage a broader body of scholarship. So this is not as simple as clicking on a translation and seeing the original language and saying, aha, I get the entirety of it. These words are complicated. But if you want to get some quick guidance, say you're a student or you're just getting some basic information, this is a really useful tool to use. So that's the interlinear function. It opens up as interlinear, so that's nice. If you want to switch to the Old Testament, so let's leave it on the NASB for now, and you can click on an Old Testament text. Let's go to Genesis 1:1, pretty well-known passage. And then let's change this from the New Testament to the Hebrew Bible. So let's go down to Hebrew, and so they have BHS, which is the standard academic lexicon. They also have the Westminster Leningrad Codex, which is based on Codex Leningradensis, which is the same basis of the BHS text. And this icon, this alpha omega icon, means that you can click on the words here in the Westminster Leningrad Codex. The vowels are there. It's nice for reading Hebrew. And you can see how you're able to click on specific words and, have basic definitions pop up. And as with the Greek, I don't know exactly where these are coming from. If this is from, say, amounts or vines or what other lexicon was being used. I'm trying to find out, and if I do, I'll post in the notes. But still, so with that in mind, it's still a really useful tool if you're looking word for word and really get into the text itself. So that's pretty great. Now, I haven't clicked on this screen here. This is a little word search function, which works independently of the texts that are open. So if you want to look up, say, English words in the NASB, or a word in a translation of your choice, this will find where that word has been used and give you some information on the word. So it's meant to be a kind of beginner's word study tool. And let's give it a minute to pop up. And so that's nice. The nice thing about this interface, you can close any of the screens that you want. So now I'm going to show you again how to look at just the Hebrew text, which means you go here, click on the right text you want to look at, and then there you go. It pops up for you. Now, once you start doing this, the very first list we recently used, which makes it nice to go back and forth, especially if you're translating or whatnot. Yeah, this truth. You know what? Let's close that out. It's not really useful for our purposes today. This site does have a lot of capabilities to it, but we're focusing on the Bible and kind of more of an interlinear style translation. I do want to point out, though, two excellent resources this has. It's an audio Bible, which if you have, let's say, it's not ESV, let's go NASB. I haven't used it. I believe it is going to be helpful. Let's do this again. Oh boy. It'll be helpful in other translations to read for you. They also have a deaf Bible, which is great. I mean, look at this. So, oh no. Well, maybe this will be fixed when you watch it. But there is a complete, I think it's ASL, American Sign Language translation of the Bible. And this website links to it, which, when it works, is amazing. So there are some other tools here to use that are pretty fantastic. And you access them by going here, add more pages, click around, and you're good to go. So that was it. I want to show you this website. I want to show you some of the tools and talk you through which text to open up if you're looking for the Old Testament or New Testament. And then certainly click around, explore it, and use it for other features as well. So that's it. That's Bible Web App. It's one of the original web pages that were out there. This is early. I've been teaching for 18 years. This is one of the, I think, the original page of the site. And then we have others who came in and have also done this kind of work. All right. Talk to you next time. God bless you.